Welcome to the Embodiment Podcast. This show is for you if you see the body as more than a brain taxi. It's for people interested in coming home to the body as a holistic aspect of who we are and how we live. Episodes contain practical tips, exercises you can take away, and interviews with specialists from around the world. I'm your host for today, Mark Walsh. So on the show today, Mark Silver. So Mark came recommended to me by Tad Hargrave, who we had on the show, talking about ethical marketing. Mark's background is interesting. So he's coming from a Sufi background, but his main work is working with small businesses, self-employed people, a lot of the kind of people that listen to this show. And he has a business called The Heart of Business. I've been listening to some of his stuff today and really appreciating it, kind of looking at the ethics of business, but just how to do marketing in a way which isn't god-awful, is how I would describe what I've seen in his work. So, Mark, welcome.
Thank you. I'm really delighted to be here.
So I always ask people who are sort of starting off with a story of their relationship to their body. Now, maybe that's less relevant to you than some, I don't know, but I'm still curious. So, how did you get into, are you interested in the body at all? Is this something that's come up for you, or tell us about your life?
Yeah, I know. It's a funny question, right? It's like, I have a body, I better have a relationship with it, right? And my wife, we've been together for 25 years, and she's been a healer and a body worker since I met her. And we do, there's a lot, as a spiritual teacher myself, there's a lot of information that comes in somatically. And so between that level and just having dogs and cats and kids and, liking to move my body, somatics body, I don't know how to separate life from the physical. So yeah, my relationship to my body has been something that I cherish, and even more so now that I've in the last 2 years entered my 50s, and it's it's like in my 20s I was much more unconscious because I could be, because my body just recovered, and I just it's a more conscious process taking care of one's body, as we move into middle age, as I move into middle age. So yeah, I guess without, I could go on probably about this longer than we necessarily want to, but early in my career also, I was a paramedic in Oakland, California, among other places. And I've just been really, we have a really painful relationship with our physicality in this culture. I think I think this is something that is also challenging in business. Is that one of the things that we teach is that there is a heart and a presence to one's business, and that the business has a presence and a beingness aside from ourselves, and this sense of somatic connection, which I'm not going to be able to speak to in depth because I don't teach from that perspective deeply, but it's critical. It's critical. It's if we ignore the body, if we ignore the physical presence of the gift of this world, which is divine in its origin, in my experience and where I'm coming from, we miss so much. And I like people to hold that in their relationship with business, because somehow that ends up getting tossed out, right? People can do incredibly sacred work, but because they've never been shown how to be in business in a sacred way, then they're suddenly in this completely different mode. Even people who have decades of mastery in a healing or transformational modality.
So just before we went live, I was saying, I'm in Berlin and I was at a conference here, a somatics conference, and I thought, there's all these great somatics teaching. I thought, what can I offer? So I decided to offer a session on marketing, because most people in this work are horrible at marketing, and they can have some real advanced skills and embodiment and real great experience, spiritually, somatically, and somehow they haven't converted it to their business. And without blame, because why would they? Because, it's considered a whole nother area, nothing to do with your body, nothing to do with your spirituality. and nobody's educated that way. So I don't blame any of these people. And what I got teaching this session was they were just looking for, because they're like, look, I need to earn a living, maybe even a good living, but any living, and I need to do that in a way which meets my values. And I just haven't seen a way of doing marketing which meets my values. And so when I offered them some framing around that and then some tools around that, they were super, super grateful.
Oh my God, I know. It's crazy because these folks have gifts that are uniquely powerful in marketing. And when brought in, it actually creates an incredible power. We just one of our clients, one of the members of our learning community, just recently posted a video in our private Facebook group and was just saying, "I'm rocking marketing," where before she had been totally avoiding it, just because she was able to embrace it from a place of owning her gifts and owning what marketing actually is. And just as you said, it's something that I say really frequently is that when people have issues with business or with money or with marketing or any of these pieces, it's like, I don't want anyone to get over their issues with marketing. I don't want them to get over their issues because their heart is sensing something true. Our economy is incredibly dysfunctional. The marketplace is incredibly dysfunctional. And what they're shying away from is something that should be shied away from.
Right.
And before the advent of modern capitalism over the last few hundred years, and then on top of that, the advent of when psychology came on the scene, about 150 years ago, 120 years ago, they started using the earliest research into psychology. Immediately
Right.
got scooped by the largest companies.
Right?
Yeah.
Anna Freud's daughter, like straight away, it was like, right, sex cells. It was like straight in there, weaponizing this stuff.
Exactly. And it's like, and so all we have are these templates. Visible templates are these really manipulative, re-traumatizing approaches to business that is not the way that humans did business. I mean, human commerce has been around for thousands of years and been done beautifully in many, many cultures in many ways. And and we've made a terrible hash of it to understate it terribly over the last few hundred years. So
the first thing is to acknowledge to people like, hey, your instinct off, something has gone wrong. And like Sith marketing versus Jedi marketing. And I say in Star Wars, and I'll say like, hey, you're right. And really acknowledging that pain that's there when acknowledging people's embodied instinct that something's really up with this way that you present it.
Yes.
So what is marketing? Exactly. If it's not that, if it's not the lies and manipulation and the fear, not that, what is it?
Well, so what we need to do is we need to look at what is the purpose of marketing, right? A lot of times what we've been taught, what is told, is that the purpose of marketing is quote unquote attraction, is to pull people in and get them. And, when we talk about attraction is the province of love. It's the province of the heart. It's not something that can be manufactured. Like love is something that we can receive, we can fill up with, we can express. But spiritually, we can't manufacture love. When you're trying to manufacture love, things get gross. And they get gross fast. And that's why marketing feels so off, that it feels like, oh, we need to pull people in. It needs to be attractive. The thing is that when the heart encounters love, the heart swells, the heart is nourished, the heart loves love. And the ego is totally freaked out by love, because love is not a greeting card. It's not this, unicorns and rainbows thing. It's like love is an incredibly powerful, annihilating force that turns everything upside down. It changes everything. And so when love is present, there is a natural attraction of the heart, and there's often a natural resistance from the ego. And so what marketing's purpose is to create safety. Marketing's purpose is to create safety for the ego so that the person listening can slow down enough to listen, to see if there is a natural resonance, to see if there is an attraction, to see if there is something there that is going to nourish them.
So let me make a link here, Mark, because a lot of our people listening are trauma trained, and they're trauma sensitive yoga, trauma sensitive mindfulness is really big now. And this idea of creating safety so people's nervous systems can relax is almost the opposite of conventional marketing that wants to create a fight-flight response. So this is kind of like polyvagal marketing you're talking about, right?
Right. Well, and it's interesting because it's often the same action, but done with a different intention in a different context. So what I mean by that is that everybody in marketing says you have to speak to the pain points. And the manipulative marketing that we've been taught is said, okay, push and push and push on the pain point till they're re-traumatized. They don't use this language; they use nicer language, but that's what it is. Until they want to run, and the only place they can run is into your arms because you have the solution, quote unquote. And but then so the reaction of so many heart-centered people, caring people, is like, oh, well, then I don't want to talk about the pain points. I want to talk about I want to be inspiring. I want to talk about the possibilities. I want to, and that doesn't work either, because people are in pain. People are struggling. And what people really need is they need to be witnessed without being seen as broken. Right. There is a quote from Sufism that says, I was a hidden treasure and I yearned to be known. It's a quote considered to come from the divine. And so in our hearts, we yearn to be known. We carry that divine yearning to be known and to be seen. If somebody can be witnessed in their struggle without being called bad, without being traumatized, without being pushed, they can just be witnessed. People can take a breath, they can feel seen, they can slow down, and then they can, in a more measured way, look at what's being offered and say, oh, is this something that resonates with me? Is this something that makes sense to me?
Is it a good fit? Like, does this really match me, my values? Do I really
exactly
meet the genuine need, genuine pain that I have?
Exactly.
So this idea of, I came up with this independently, and you came up with it way before me. I mean, you've been doing this 20 years, and I want to say, like, that is radical. Like Fred Kaufman's conscious business, I think maybe goes back about that far, but very little goes back that far. I mean, you've been really doing this a while, and independently came this year as kind of marketing as love. I said that yesterday, and the whole room burst out laughing because they thought I was being sarcastic. And I was like, no. Then I explained exactly what I meant, So, like, say more about this connection between marketing and love.
Yeah. Well, so we can feel love, right? We can love, talking about somatics, we know when there's love present. You look into somebody's eyes, and I don't even mean romantic love. That's one kind of love, but even just friendship and connection. And this feeling of caring and this feeling of oneness that comes. That love is evident when someone, a business owner, a practitioner, a healer, brings that sense of true care and service, saying, wow, I'm really here for you. I really want to see you fly. I want to see you get better. I want to see you thrive. I want to, when that is genuine, people feel that. People feel that. It's like it's not arguable. And that is the love. That is the love. The marketing, I think that the marketing is the presence that we bring to it, and then the safety is the container for the love. Right? It's like we can have love, and it can be very dysfunctional. There's all kinds of dysfunctional relationships out there that have love in them, but people haven't unlearned dysfunctional relationship habits or communication patterns. And so that becomes, at the far end, abuse, and in the, less than that, just unhealthy and not nourishing. And it's the same with business. Like, so many people, like we were saying before, they bring mastery to what they're doing. They're bringing this sense, like when they're in the room with a client, they are being beautiful. They're doing such amazing things and just bringing love to that person. But before that, there's this sense of, oh my goodness, I have to do business in a certain way, and that gets shut down. And if we can bring love and witnessing, and what marketing needs, one of the things it needs is a sense of appropriate relationship, right? It's like when I know people in a less intimate way, then I have a sense of what's appropriate in terms of sharing, in terms of engagement. Marketing is relation. We like, the relationship isn't there yet. It's like we're just starting to get to know one another. And again, I mean, I think for a lot of us, and certainly in my mind, using the word love, in this Western culture, the romantic relationship comes in, but building community, building friendships, building family, all of this is very, it's all part of this. And when we start to really, when we slow down, when we bring love in our hearts and a real desire to be of service, and then we bring this sense of marketing as witnessing, as safety, as I really see you. I really see you. And I really want you to do well. And I'm not the only solution. There are so many, you're going to find your help. And if you resonate with me, this might be the help that you need. But I don't want anyone to feel trapped in that. And so you start to bring this kind of messaging in, and that actually builds trust. It builds trust when people don't feel trapped. If people are going to feel trapped, you need to either trap them all the way or they're going to run away. And that's why there's all these really hardcore sales tactics that have to come in if you go down that road. And let me add one more thing to this. Mm-hmm. Intention doesn't matter. In fact, intention can undermine when you use these tactics. So many people have taken these kind of more traditional marketing workshops or learned these sales tactics, but because they don't want to be manipulative and they don't realize how manipulative the tactics are that they've learned, then they can read as having really good intentions, but the mousetrap that they've been given to use still functions on their clients. And so that can be an even more dangerous combination.
Right. So I want to draw out some of the themes here. So this idea of marketing as being of service, what a beautiful idea, of helping people's genuine needs. What a beautiful idea. I sometimes joke marketing is telling hungry people you have sandwiches, and marketing is a spiritual practice in itself. Marketing as about relationship and trust. So building trust, marketing not from scarcity, but from like, hey, you have needs. I could probably help with certain needs, but not others. And there's other people that could too. Am I kind of drawing out some of the main themes here from what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, let me read you something actually, because we have an embodiment conference next year, and there's a really good Facebook group, and on there I put, why are embodiment people generally so horrible at marketing? Because I'm kind of a natural at this, but I notice most people in the field aren't. Do you mind if I read out some of the responses and you can tell me what you make of them?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So the first one says, I think for me and the people I know, it's filling our hearts and wanting to be ethical and honest. Actually wanting what's best for others, not just for ourselves. Ethics and honesty seem conspicuously absent in most marketing we're exposed to. So that is exactly what we were saying before, right?
Right.
Because the way marketing used to be done was horrible and seen as dirty work. And, again, this is similar. Now, David comes back, my friend David Robertson is a conscious dance guy from Brighton. He says, I don't think that's the reason. I think there's a pervasive story that stops embodiment people from marketing. So the question becomes, why are embodiment people so quick to latch onto the idea that marketing is horrible? One answer could be that marketing is hard, but it's easier to label marketing as horrible than to face up to this difficult challenge and rise to this. So I kind of paraphrased him here saying, this idea that marketing is immoral rather than admitting that it's hard. So this is a little pushback to the idea that we've been presenting. And it seems like there's someone at Miles Kesley, who's a meditation teacher from Israel, says it's a material bypass as opposed to a spiritual bypass, which is the normal terminology. Someone just said because no one taught them. Sonia says no one's taught them.
Well, I was going to say that I actually disagree with that. Like the experience, like there's, I think what's missing often is the analysis of capitalism as incredibly destructive, and that people have their survival issues up because they got to earn a living. They have to earn a living, and they're going to starve. It's like there's really these are big issues, and I don't think marketing is any harder than anything else. So many people, when they embrace their gifts in the context of marketing, like my client I quoted earlier, like this is really common with folks that we work with, that once they're able to shift inside themselves and understand that there is marketing that is really gross and immoral, and that does not have to be the path you take, that there is a way that you can use your gifts and that you don't have to do it the way other people do it. Like there's principles to be met because we're building relationships with folks, but you don't. So once people embrace the individual strengths that they have and the gifts that they have and a different understanding of marketing and and bringing the trust that they have in other areas of their life into this realm, then it actually becomes easy and beautiful, and people really begin to enjoy it. So let me give you an example. We had a client who had an opportunity to give a talk in front of a group. There was they were following some of our stuff that we teach around heart-centered networking, and they were connecting with people, and they were invited to give a talk. And this practitioner, incredibly gifted, masterful practitioner, also very introverted, not really into giving talks, and had frozen around this. We did not try to kind of work. I did not try to push her past and get over her issue with giving talks. We're like, okay, so where are your gifts? How can we make this opportunity fit you? And we came up with the idea that instead of giving a talk to a group, why doesn't she put up a sign-up list for individual free conversations during the day? And she had, of course, she couldn't have quite as many people because it takes more time, but it suited her personality and her heart and her gifts and her strengths so beautifully. And she put up a sign-up list, and she was full all day having these little 30-minute conversations with people, and she got a bunch of clients out of it whereas if she had just frozen, and it was really easy for her. It was really easy for her. And if she had just frozen, she would never have done it. And she would have come away with this idea, like the reinforced idea that marketing is horrible, that it's hard, that you have to do something that's not you. It's not true. None of those things are true.
Yeah. So I think people need three things. They need a reframing of marketing, which meets their values. They need some practical tools or methodology, like some kind of a system, telling someone how a sales funnel work in 1 hour is more than enough. Maybe we can come back to that part. And the third part is they just need something that suits them. Like some people are introverts, some people are extrovert. Like I was talking to this guy from Norway today. He's like, well, what marketing should I do? I said, well, A, what your customers like, and B, what do you like? And if your customers like it and you like it, that's what you maybe should be doing. And he was like, well, I don't have to do what you're doing. I'm like, no, you might hate Facebook. I might love Facebook. It's fine. We're all different.
Exactly.
So let's come back to that middle part then. So there's this idea that we can think of marketing, as love, in terms of service, in terms of trust building, as a spiritual practice, and also that we can find something that really suits us, that's authentic, that's real for us. We don't have to pretend to be anything else. Or, a lot of British people don't want to be American. There's a cultural piece, for them. It's like, how do I be more British in my marketing? It's like, there's ways, there's ways. But the other thing is, like, what are like the basics you would teach someone just in terms of like models or principles or theory, like just to give someone those basics of marketing, ABCs?
Yes. Yeah. So our basic marketing model that we teach is what we call the 3 journeys of marketing. And it's something that is, and we have clients all over the globe. I really get that we have people mixed in from many different cultures. I was talking to one of our clients who's in Saudi Arabia recently. And so it's like there's very different cultures, but the principles of how, because we're all human, the principles of how we build relationships are remarkably similar. And so the 3 journeys of marketing are, simply put, that instead of thinking of marketing as just one thing that you do, you need these different pieces. So the first journey of marketing is, how does your business, what do you do to have your business show up in front of people who don't know about you yet? The second journey of marketing is, how do you maintain relationships with people who are interested but not yet ready to buy? One of the most underestimated things in business is the amount of time it takes someone to come to a significant purchasing decision. And most people, the way they do marketing, if they go out and do a talk, or they do something on Facebook, or they do whatever, they're presenting their customer with the choice: purchase or leave. And when they think that their marketing isn't working, actually their marketing may have been working really well. They just didn't have these other pieces in place to let someone hang out for a couple of months. Like, we gave up on Facebook rapid conversion webinars because we experimented with that, because we'll try anything, we'll experiment and see, is there a way to do it in a heart-centered way? And what we discovered was that in order to have somebody purchase really rapidly in a way that justifies the costs of the Facebook ads, because to make that work, you have to spend a significant amount developing the webinars and developing the sequences and developing the ad and paying for the ads. It's a very resource-intense process. You have to use manipulative sales techniques to get people to buy fast enough. And our relationship with our clients, what we noticed was, we got a bunch of people on our email list or Facebook fans, but it took them a few months to come to purchase, which they did later once we built up a relationship with them, if we didn't push them. So there's that first journey, and then there's that second journey.
Quick interruption to tell you about my book, Embodiment. Creatively named, hey? Actually, Embodiment: Moving Beyond Mindfulness. You can find this online at theembodimentbook.com. That's theembodimentbook.com. So this book is an introduction to the whole field. If you like these interviews, you'll probably love this book. Funny stuff, poems, personal stories from my life, illustrating what embodiment's all about, and loads for professionals in the field too. Top teaching tips, language tips, that kind of thing. Yeah, a real condensation of everything I've learned about embodiment, basically. So you can get pre-orders at Amazon.com, and if you just put in Embodiment: Moving Beyond Mindfulness, that's the name of the book, or go to theembodimentbook.com. On there, you'll see quotes from various teachers, a bunch of fun illustrations, and you can also get the first chapter completely free online at theembodimentbook.com. Enjoy, and back to the interview.
And the third journey,
just to pause you there, because you're saying something which is not obvious to most embodiment people, and that is measuring results. So embodiment people are really focused on subjective feeling, and what I was totally following the main point you were making, but what's a given for you there is you're actually looking at the outcomes and the results of the things you're doing as well, right? I just want to underline that.
Yes.
That is not obvious to the subjectively orientated people.
Well, it's interesting because I am guessing that actually a lot, I don't need to guess. We've worked with thousands of them. They are very outcome oriented working with clients, right? Like, is the client, it's like if somebody's injured, are they getting better? Are they healing? Are they able to, it's just not being in this frozen place in thinking that marketing or thinking that business is any different. Everything is held by the divine. Everything exists within the oneness. There is nothing that exists without the divine presence, without the presence of love. And it's been so obscured in certain things. I mean, a lot of alternative practitioners know very well that Western medicine has obscured the love in healing, and you have to look for it. You have to bring it out. We're saying the same thing here, that business is not some special case that's outside the realm of the divine. We can claim it the same as everything else and embrace that. And so looking at results are the fruit of of love, right? It's like we've had a garden, we've grown food before. It's like plants produce things that we eat that nourish us, that keep us alive. These results are very important. To look at. And
I've seen this tendency to say that results don't matter or success doesn't matter, and I think it's kind of a thing that's come from the political left, and it's really infected a lot of embodied work, spiritual work. And I think it's a problem because, as you say, like the concrete fruit of love is actually some kind of a result. Like if you're trying to end hunger in Africa, you want a result, right? You want success, right. Dirty words.
Right. Or hunger on the streets of our cities. I mean, many parts of the United States look like, anyway, terrible situation our country's in. But it's, and the results, and it's come from a place where I think is actually coming from a very loving place, but we need the analysis. And what I mean by that is that there's been this hyper focus on extreme kind of cancerous results, cancerous level results, where they're like, we need the money no matter what, even if we destroy everything in our path and destroy people and destroy economies and destroy cultures, even if we enslave people, even if we commit genocide, we need the money, or very few people need to take that wealth. And that rejection of that system is a very kind of instinctual rejection. Like, that is not life affirming. And so, but we can't let that rejection of that larger kind of excess system lead us to think that we can't have results in our business. It's incredibly important. It's incredibly important that these businesses do well. We're in this very strange place in late stage capitalism where the economy is crap and people are starving and terrible things are going on and terrible levels of inequality around wealth are going on. And we're not yet in a new place. The old hasn't crumbled yet, and we're still needing to make the mortgage and make the rent and keep the lights on and put food on the table. And so walking this line here is something that takes some real consciousness and some real intention, and we have to be awake to it. And so what I love to see our clients do is wake up to bringing that level of care and attention to their business, that their business deserves that level of consciousness. Not that it needs to be overwhelming in that, but it's like allowing a new, healthier relationship with their business to come up so that you can walk this line. And I do want to finish up the 3 journeys of marketing, but that context
please do, because that's
so important.
We're aligned on the big picture here. So let's get down to some of them.
So the third journey of marketing is what is commonly referred to as referral marketing. It's when either you have raving fan clients or you have colleagues or people that just trust you and love you and trust the work you do, and they send referrals into your first journey or second journey so that it can repeat the cycle. A lot of people do the first journey of marketing. They go out and give a talk, and they're like, I didn't get any clients. It's like, well, you don't know. People were really moved by you, but you didn't have a second journey of marketing, a way of maintaining a sustainable way of maintaining and deepening trust until they were ready to buy. Third journey marketing. I asked people to send referrals, but you didn't consciously think through how to bring safety into the referral process so that people felt good about sending people to you, and the people who were being referred felt safe enough to approach you. And there are very specific things that are important in that process. And when you put all three journeys together, then what happens is that you have this beautiful flow where your business is connecting with new people, you're deepening trust to the point where people buy, and then people are sending more people to you. And that can be, anyway, there's a lot of different techniques to this, from Facebook ads to one-on-one networking to giving talks to da-da-da-da-da. But it's all just ways of showing up in relationship with people.
This is great. We've just turned the video on because we had no video before. The signal was bad. And immediately I find myself just like relaxing, and I see you relaxing a bit. It's like, because we can see each other. And it's like, This is marketing, right? We want to be able to see each other. We want to be able to trust each other. And first of all, like, I want to break a bit down what you said, because it was great and also a lot condensed. So you have to meet people. Then you have to have some way of building relationship with them, so you can build that trust. Because it might take someone 3 years of listening to my podcast and seeing my Facebook before they come to a workshop. So there's a lot.
Yes.
Some people trust quicker than others. Some cultures trust quicker than others. And
it's not just trust, it's just timing, right? We have it's like, oh my God, my son was getting married, or my kids were 1 year old and I just didn't have any time to do it. Or, or my spouse was struggling with cancer and they finally went into remission, thank God. Like, there's all kinds of people have really legitimate reasons for not stepping forward. It's not always just about trust. Part of it's trust, and part of it's trusting that people have their own lives, right?
And then the third thing I've seen as well is that sometimes there is this skill without hard selling of just asking. Like, hey, you want to come to the workshop on Tuesday?
Right.
Like, you want to sign your kids up for this karate class? Like, that is, even if you have this connection, they know who you are, and they know that they trust that you're good and the timing's right. Sometimes you still got to ask, right?
You have to ask. What's so funny is that people hate to be needed, not because neediness is bad. Neediness is very human, but people can sometimes feel overwhelmed because they're overwhelmed in their own lives already, but they want to be desired. They want to be wanted. And so asking and inviting someone in is really, it can be a beautiful affirmation of, yeah, you know what? I it's been so funny to me sometimes to say, people go, oh, you mean you take clients? It's like, yeah, we take clients. Yeah, we do take clients. Oh, it's like, yeah, we have to invite people in.
I love saying that. I said, I would love you to come on my course. I would love you to be a student. And because I'm only inviting people who I genuinely would love to be there. I'm going to spend like 9 months with them in some cases, So right. I'm like, I think you'd be great fit. I'd love you to come. And then they feel invited. They don't feel sold to. And that's the energy I bring to it for me and for them. Right? I don't want to be coming out of a new scarcity. I want to come out of, I'm having a party and you're super welcome.
Right. And take your time to find out if it's right for you. A lot of times when I have a conversation with someone, I tell them right up front, I don't expect you to make a decision while we're on the phone, because that's not fair. You probably need to talk to a partner, or you need to consider something, or you need to sit and make sure that it's like aligned in your body. It's like, if you're 100%, if you've been considering it for a while and you're like just ready to go, I'm not going to turn you away, but I don't want you to shortcut the decision-making process, because again, we're talking about somatics. When we're in somebody else's presence, we're affected by that presence. And it can sometimes be hard to know our own truth if we don't, especially a lot of people who are heart-centered, who are somatic workers, end up taking in a lot, they tend to be highly empathic and taking in a lot of information. They need the space to be able to tell what's true for them.
Right. Now, a lot of people in embodiment are fairly empathic people, and that's obviously a great skill, but the disadvantage is they can feel drawn along by things. So,
Right.
so I think it's really nice, and it's a sign that who's selling to you is ethical when they say, you know what, take your time, sleep on it, tell me in the morning, because then their somatic impact has worn off, which is good.
Right.
And they're left with, okay, was it really a good fit, or was I just like, I'm a fairly charismatic person, and that's actually a danger. Like, I don't want to
Yes.
charismatically bring someone along with me, and then the next day they go, I don't want to do this. And it's like, this is, something I've realized, and I actually have a less charismatic person do my sales for my courses. I'm sure she's wonderful in other ways, but she's not impacting people so strongly, and that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. It is a good thing. Because then because profitability in business, talking about results, comes from long-term relationships with clients, not people that buy and then have regret and then go away and then grumble about the situation later. Like you may have gotten a quick sale, but what is that really worth to the world or to you or to your heart or to them? But if people take their time and then they say yes, and then they stick around, like you said, for 9 months, for us sometimes 2 or 3 years, because it takes time to build a business in our case, and it takes time to heal, and all of these things take time. It's much more honoring the process. It's much more honoring everybody's beingness, and it's way more profitable for the business.
Right. So authenticity leads to the customers you want. Trust and honesty leading to the long-term relationships. Unless you have a smashing, I always say the worst fish and chips in Brighton is on the seafront, because they're just a smash and grab business. Tourists come once, they get the fish and chips,
Right.
and they never come back. The best fish and chips, you go 2 streets in, it's all the locals having the fish and chips. They've been there for 50 years. There's a Chinese guy, who's running the fish and chip shop. Everybody knows Mr. Wan. It's much better. So
exactly.
Not running a smash and grab business. You have to know where his business is. You have to go down the side street. It's a family business. It's return customers. It's recommendations, because it's not on the main street. He's not having such expensive rent. And most of the people working in, say a karate studio, you could have a student for 20 years. It's a very relationship.
Exactly.
What are some of the kind of main mistakes or kind of easy win things? Like, give us your top 10, do this or don't do this, depending, either way is fine. You work with all these customers. What are the things you find yourself saying, you know what, I said this so many times, I might as well send you this on a cheat sheet before we do the coaching?
Yeah. So one of the things that I say is that 90% of marketing problems can be solved with honesty.
Cool.
And so when almost every time somebody says, oh my God, what do I do in this situation? And I just ask, well, what's the truth here? And they say, oh, it's this. And I say, well, say that to them. I've got this person who's, I'm trying to think of a recent example, because there was one just in our group just recently, just saying, oh, this person was going to, I want this person to, I don't want to be pushy, but this person hasn't gotten back to me, and I don't want them to miss out because the deadline's coming. I'm like, if you send them an email that says all of those things, I really don't want to be pushy. I want you to take your time. And the deadline's coming up because it starts. I just don't want you to miss this because you said you were interested. And they're like, oh, that's really simple.
But here's what I say it out loud. I read my website copy or my email, and if I feel like a jerk when I say it out loud, I rewrite it. Ask myself.
That's exactly right.
I was with my Vidyadasa, my colleague, and they were writing this website for Embodied Principles online teacher training, and I just read it and went, I wouldn't speak to you like that. And he's like, well, how would you speak to me? And I started saying, well, we'd say this, we'd say that, and I'd probably swear a little bit because it's me. And he said, well, let's just do that. And we did, and the website was really successful.
Yeah, exactly. I often have our clients do exactly that. We have a template that says, okay, a homepage could, just kind of break it down. We have people go through create a template of a deeper marketing message that has 5 pieces, and those 5 pieces get spread out over a few different web pages. And I say, well, just get on the phone or get on Zoom with somebody and just talk it out like you would say it to somebody that you care about, and then record it and transcribe it. And people get their websites done very rapidly, just like that.
Right.
So I want people to know that who they are is enough. You don't have to be somebody else. People want your voice and who you are. So that's one thing, is to like just say what's on your heart. The other thing that I think that is really important is that some of these pieces are not rocket science, but they're not entirely intuitive. Like there are things to know. When people, spend 2 or 3 years learning the modality and then go to professional development stuff and then like take a weekend workshop for their business, I'm like, but this business is supposed to support you. It's supposed to create, tens of thousands of pounds or euros or dollars or whatever currency you're in. It's like give your business the love and attention it needs. We have seen that it takes, on average, to move from through the 3 stages of development. There's 4 stages, but 3 that are mandatory in business development. To go from creation into momentum, the 3rd stage, all takes 2 to 3 years minimum.
I say to my mentee students, I say, listen, if you really want to do this, you're probably going to be working really hard and still be fairly poor for 2 to 3 years. Are you okay with that before you start? And the other thing I say is like, look, how long does it take you to become a good therapist or a good dance teacher or a good karate black belt? And they say 5 years, 10 years. I was like, well, how long do you think it's going to take you to be good at business? And how many hours are you putting in a week? If you spend 5 hours or even 2 hours a week listening to podcasts from you and George Cow and Marketing for Hippies, and you spend like 1 hour reading books, 1 hour listening to business podcasts, but by the end of 2 or 3 years, you'd be shit hot. It's like, it's just practice, like anything, right?
It is. And understanding the principles involved and understanding, exactly. It's like, get the help. There's no reason that you have to do it on your own. It's like, I was a paramedic for years, and I would not want anyone doing medical procedures purely by intuition, but I want the people who have been trained to have access to their heart and their intuition.
Got it.
That's, when you say like, what are the top 10, it's like, I think that kind of thinking, not to say that that's what you were saying, but I think that we are often people are looking for, what's the silver bullet, or what's the thing I have to do to make it work? The thing you have to do is to embrace the fact that you're building a business, and that it takes some care and attention, and there are a variety of things that need to be learned, and that over time it takes time to do it. But if you put in the care and attention, you don't have to become masterful. You will become masterful at your modality. You don't have to be masterful at business, but if you put in 2 or 3 years, you will be very effective with it. And and you'll make a living at it. And oh my God, how fun is that? So much fun.
I was in a workshop yesterday. They said, what do you think is your main limitation in this work right now? And so many people said money or marketing or this. And I'm not a millionaire, but I don't feel like that's a limitation anymore. I've overcome that. And I just felt I don't even relate to this question, because I'm just waking up and playing and creating things and connecting with people around the world. And it's no longer stressful. Like, we had a game the other day called I had to raise £20,000 because one of our projects was £20,000 short. And I put up a Facebook post and people came back and they said they'll lend us the money interest-free. And within 6 hours, we won that game. And we made £30,000 interest-free loan from trust. And I just went, that was just my evening game. It wasn't even stressful. And so once you kind of get a sense of this, it's like the world is really like that. There's a film called Limitless, and it kind of feels like that, this superpower of feeling limitless with it and just going, okay, who do I want to create wealth? Who do I want to talk to? Who do I want to build a relationship with? This is just fun.
It is really fun. And people get caught here. Like, you have been doing this for years. And so to put out that kind of a game in 6 hours, like, I don't want people judging themselves according to that. Like, people like it's so okay to be at the level you're at. Like, when I talk about networking, for instance, and I say, okay, so you're going to start connecting with influential people. And when I say influential people, I don't mean Oprah. Like, I don't mean even like B-list podcasters that have several thousand downloads. I mean, find the people who have a successful yoga class. Find a practitioner who has a full practice. Find a community center that has a couple hundred members. Find these places where there's much easier access, and you can start to play with and work with some of these marketing ideas, and at a level that feels really approachable and much less risk and much more fun. And as you get your legs under you and as you feel some sense of solidity, then it becomes possible that what influential means changes. But don't set yourself up for failure trying to be in a place where you're not. One of the things that we offer on our website is a free assessment called the Readiness Assessment about understanding these stages of business. I mean, we've worked with thousands of businesses in the last 20 years, and I've observed very definite stages of development. And when you understand the stages and what's needed at each stage, and you know where you are, yeah, sure, sometimes people are like, oh my God, I wish I was further along. But more often, there's just a palpable sense of relief, like, oh, I don't have to worry about that yet. I just need to focus on this, what I'm focused on.
Right? Because people will tell you in business, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. And A, focusing on your niche, like Tad's thing I love, and B, focusing on where your business is. Once you know those two things, you go, maybe I don't need a blog right now or an Instagram or a Facebook. Maybe this is the people. I see a lot of like life coaches pretending to be Tony Robbins and thinking they're jumping out of a heli. You know, it's like, I know you don't live in a mansion. Like I travel on EasyJet, not in a private jet. You know, it's. I mean, I don't travel in a helicopter. I'm on the train. You know, I'm lucky if I have first class ticket. So it's like just be honest about, okay, where are you at? You know, are you just starting out? Are you established? Are you getting connected? How's it work? You know, this thing of like, where are you? And how did you put this on one of your other podcasts to listen to? A developmental model of a business, like a toddler that's falling over. You know, a toddler falls over, it gets back up again. Do you need to do that? Or are you more the teenager who's having some growing pains and stuff, you know? Like, where you're at.
Exactly. And then you can have really realistic expectations of your business, because when you do have, I mean, our twins just turned 11, and we have twin boys, and they are tremendous, and the things that they can do now they couldn't do 5 years ago. You know, it was like not fair for me to expect them when we clean the house to have them do the vacuuming and have it actually be clean, you know. But now it is. It's actually clean. I'm like, oh, you know, you're done with your supper, like get the dishes clean and get them in the dishwasher. Not because, you know, because you can do that and you can help. Your business, when it's brand new, is not going to support you in that, and to have that expectation on yourself or your business just is so wearing on the spirit. It makes you feel like something's wrong, and nothing's wrong. Your business is just young. Focus on the developmental pieces that are needed now, like niche, like in the beginning, like who are you serving? What's the problem that you're trying to solve? What is the offer? What is the price? Do you understand how to hold a sales conversation with integrity? Do you know how to ask for referrals successfully? Those things, you put those in place, and you're going to be moving through that first stage of development much more rapidly than if you're spending money that you don't have and can't afford on some branding expert. And this is not putting branding experts down, but I do want to say that if someone is out there charging a brand new practitioner who is not building a great big business yet and is just wanting to get clients, charging thousands of dollars or pounds to brand, that's not, you don't need that. Like, don't do that to yourself. Don't do that.
Putting one thing a bit ahead is you don't know who you're going to be, who your audience is, and if you, I'm a big fan of getting mentees to test things. I'm like, hey, do one workshop, test it out. See if you really like that group. See if you can speak to them. Do another one, improve it. Do a second one. Okay, now get the brand. Now do the brand.
Right. Exactly.
Listen, we could speak for ages. I feel there's actually so few of us in this space who are doing this work. I just feel like it's so necessary, because I just see amazingly good people with lots of talent who are having to take jobs they don't want to do, who are having to cut back, who are just struggling and stressed and worried. And it's just not really necessary, because the basics are pretty easy, right? It's not I'm not a marketing guru compared to some of my friends who work in tech sector. They laugh at my marketing skill. But for embodiment sector,
but it's working, right?
I'm still here after 13 years. It's good enough. Yeah. So I just really want to encourage people to look up the episode we've had and your stuff too. This business assessment sounds pretty nice. Where can people go to get a piece of that?
So if you go to heartofbusiness.com, not but just heartofbusiness.com, and you go to the free stuff, there's a free stuff thing, and it's right there. It's right there. So
I love that it's free stuff. That's an example of what we're talking about. It's like it's like, is this you? How it works? Free stuff. Contact. Right. It's simple. And then this right at the top says you don't have to lose your heart, and then in brackets, or your wallet in search for more clients and money. So like the idea that you don't have to pick is the thing, right? It's like, do I have to be an asshole and make money, or do I have to be broke and a nice person? Like that's a rubbish.
It is rubbish. It is rubbish. And it's just I've said this before, and I'm saying it again. It's so important that these folk, that you all are successful with your businesses and your practices. The world needs this. The world needs this. We don't need another whatever tech gizmo thing. We need healing. We need to be engaged with our bodies so that we can trust the world around us and care for each other in much more beautiful ways so that our society can be healthy. And if your business is successful, then it becomes a beacon. It becomes something that's, you're not going to save the world all on its own, but the more of us that are like this, the more the economy starts to shift to something that is much more life-affirming, that is much more what we actually want to see in the world. And that's why I love to see people embrace their businesses, embrace the heart of business, embrace the love that's possible here while being practical and grounded, and to really make it work from a place of kindness and compassion and getting your teeth into it.
Mark, I think it's a really nice place to end. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Some ways to get more, to give back, and to get more involved now. So the biggest request I have would be to share the podcast with your friends, people that you think would really enjoy it. Email it to them, put it on your social media, tell them about it, old school. Really appreciate that. Equally, if you want to support us financially, you can go to Patreon. That's patreon.com/embodiment podcast and give us $1 an episode. And I'd say they're well worth $1. So that's less than £1 if you're in UK-ish. So please go there. On the embodifacilitator.com website is where this is hosted. Most people I think listen to for iTunes. iTunes, we'd certainly appreciate a review. The way iTunes works means that a review means more people will find it. iTunes regards it as more important for searches. So even a couple of sentences review really does help as a little thank you to us. And if you want to go to embodifacilitator.com, you can see the actual links to the sites. There's comments on there. The Facebook group tends to be where people discuss things. So if you go to put in the Embodiment Podcast into Facebook, there's a page which is relatively quiet and a group which does have some discussion on. So I will reply to things personally there. So also on embodifacilitator.com website, there's all sorts of freebies there. There's videos, there's free ebooks, there's ebooks you can buy. And of course, there's our newsletter list. If you want to stay in touch and learn about things like the Embodied Facilitator course and our next Embodied Yoga Principles teacher training, then go to that website and you'll see a little pop-up and you can get the newsletter through there. Okay, so I think they're the main ones. Tell your friends, pay us some money on Patreon, give us a review on iTunes, send us your email if you want to be on the newsletter list, and get involved on the Facebook there. Bit long. Pick whatever you like that works for you. Until next time, welcome home to the body.